Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Linksy. We are doing another unit analysis, this time for Troy's Hippolyta, the new Amazonian factions. And here we are, starting with her Highness. She's the High Queen of the Amazons, and she is genuinely a fantastic model. Really love the detail on the hair, the just armor, everything. It's just really well made. Alright, let's get started to it. So, Hippolyta, what is she? She is an epic hero. She is a missile epic hero trickster. She has really good armor piercing damage, accuracy, missile range, and she has the sharpshooter ability, which ignores missile block chance. With that, she gets 50 armor, she gets 81 morale, 45 speed, which is relatively fast. Melee attack and melee defense, again, they're decent, they're mid-tier, they're not really high, they're not really low. And damage, it's 1050, so she's always going to kill whatever she hits. The main issue is that her attack speed is possibly quite low, because this is the attack over 10 seconds, and she attacks every 4 seconds. Charge bonus is also 15, 60 ammunition, which is ridiculously high, but then again, that's only 60 missiles coming out of her, but every single one of those missiles is a ballista shot, pretty much with the damage of 682 damage. What are her abilities? She is a siege attacker, she can hide in the forest, sharpshooter, as we already discussed. She get the Aristea, which is the ability that basically you can use once per battle, gives you lots of bonuses towards armor, melee attack, makes you unbreakable, makes your stamina stay put, and heals you. And then the abilities she has herself. She gets the Truce, which basically makes your units have better melee defense while reducing the melee attack of the enemies in range. This range is 100 meters, and this is a really good ability to pop when you're trying to dodge and run. Especially with missile units, if you're just trying to skirmish, this is really good. Combined with her ability Flight of Artemis, which basically gives herself more speed and missile damage, so she can really just run away and fight as much as she like. She then gets Ares Thunders, which is an armor ability. She basically affects enemies in range, removing 30% of the melee defense and 20% of their armor. And this has the range of 50 meters. It's not that big as an ability, but it definitely does. It can be really useful, especially if there are some lords or high armored spears or swords in the area, especially from the Greek side. They do have a lot of armor, so this is going to be something really useful to have. Then she gets Apollo's Aim, which basically is a special ability that she shoots at a target location and gets a ridiculous amount of damage. She is able to just get a very special shot, and it just does extra damage towards a single target. This is a hero sniper, pretty much general sniper, and it's really good. And she also has Deadly Focus, which basically gives a bit more accuracy and morale to her units. So as you can see, her main focus is let's get her to walk a little bit. Her main focus is assisting her missile units and assisting her troops with regards to missile damage, melee defense, etc. She's a hit and run general, and that's how her army is built as well. Let's get down to her army. She gets the Initiates, which are a decent unit. They're pretty much very weak in everything, but for the cost, they're quite good. They have 20 armor, and they get a shield with 40% missile block chance, which is relatively good if they're fighting from the front. But if they get hit from behind or from their right side, as you can see over here, they're gonna die really quickly to missile damage. 48 speed, again, decent speed, not the best, not the slowest. They're gonna do quite well. Melee attack and melee defense are very much on the low side. Melee attack is just slightly higher than the that of slingers and archers, and the melee defense is it's high for a low tier unit, but again, it's nothing really to write home about. They do not get that much damage, and they do not have charge bonus. What are these guys used for? These guys are used to be an expendable unit. Just hold the line slightly while you get your more expensive units around the flanks. Abilities, they can hide in forest, and they have Wary. They're basically they get a debuff to morale and melee attack unless there are routing units nearby, routing enemy units, and then their debuff goes away. So essentially they're scared, and that makes sense because these are a starting unit and you know, they're initiates. They're the militia that you just hired to help you defend, and they're not really used to battle, which kind of add a little bit of flavor to the game. Then you get the Amazonian swordswoman. These are essentially the same as the initiates over there, just slightly better in terms of melee attack, I believe. No? Overall damage is actually higher. I think the sword damage is higher. Their melee attack is the same. Melee attack, on a side note, the melee defense are... Yeah, the melee attack is the ability to hit and the chances of hitting every time, or in melee defense is the ability to dodge melee attack, essentially. So these guys really don't have that much melee attack, but they do get a little bit extra damage, and they do get a significant amount of armor piercing, 14 armor piercing for such a cheap unit. They only get an 8 charge bonus, and they only have 15 armor, which again makes them very weak and susceptible to missile fire. They do get a little bit more speed with 50, so they're going to be slightly faster than their lower counterparts. To be honest, it's very much on the fast side for infantry. Very few infantry gets above 50, 60, and those are usually special infantry. So this is really good for a cheap unit, and they also get the wary ability as well, or rather the wary disadvantage, which means their melee attack and morale will actually go up. Their base morale is at 55, but at the moment essentially it starts at 45 during the start of the battle, and if you're winning the battle it goes up to 55. So it's a unit that comes stronger over time. Amazonian Chargers, these are your first shock infantry that you get. They are light, they're fast, and they're furious. They get 55 movement speed, which is really good considering they only have 10 armor and no missile block chance. They do get a 45 base morale, and then they also get 33 melee attack and 30 melee defense, which is again average on the low side. These are starting units, and this is something you'd expect from them. They don't get that much damage, but they do get 22 charge bonus, which is very good. And that charge bonus is going to inflict a lot of damage. I believe charge bonus is around 15 seconds after you charge, then you pull back. I usually charge in 5 seconds, pull back if I can. Most of the times, if there is a lot of micro, I tend to leave these units in because they're not that expensive, and they're usually a unit I charge into the enemy formations, try to confuse the enemy while I am picking off the outer edges with other units. There are the Black Spears, which are a unique unit to Hippolyta, I believe. And these guys are essentially just slightly upgraded Amazon Chargers. As you can see, their abilities are just all better. They do get a lot more melee attack. They do get slightly less speed, but then they're more morale and more armor. Their melee defense is the same essentially, and their damage is they get bonus versus large and axemen, whereas I believe the Amazonian Chargers only get bonus versus large. And charge bonus is that of 39, so that is going to be insane. That is genuinely really good charge bonus for an infantry unit, and this is on the cheaper side, so that's something to really help out. These are, I think, the start of the second tier of the units, so really good unit to have. They're immune to psychology, they have fierce resolve, so if they're more disabled, if the morale is less than 50%, but at the start of the battle they start with extra weapon damage, extra melee attack, charge bonus, and this will of course get disabled as the battle goes on if they're getting routed. So whereas the basic units get stronger if you're winning, these guys get weaker if you're losing, so it again balances it out slightly and gets your units into the mood of things. The next unit is the Oathsworn. The Oathsworn are one of my favorite units in the Amazonian roster, simply because their melee defense 40, it's on the good side. They have 45 armor, so combined with the melee defense, they're going to be really difficult to kill from the front. They do have 40 missile block chance. Keep in mind they're still wearing cloth armor. They're going to get shot to shit if the enemy decides to focus them down and gets a really good angle. They're dead. They do not get that much movement speed. That's another disadvantage they have, but their morale is 50, so they're gonna hold their own. Their biggest advantage, though, again, is their melee defense being 40 and their armor being 45, and that allows them to stay in formation. If you have 4 of these in a row, they're not going to be broken easily. Something I learned, though, do not separate these from each other. Do not try to do checkerboard formation or any of the sorts, because they're very susceptible to flanking damage. They do not get any charge bonus to speak of, but they do get a bonus versus large, which is always nice, and 8 armor piercing. That's always a nice added bonus. They get the ability to the last, which is disabled if the hit points are greater than 50% of the base, meaning the weaker they get, if they're going down to die, they're going to get a bonus of 12 melee attack and 12 melee defense, so they become stronger as they're dying off, and that's a good ability. Yeah, that's essentially why I like them, because they keep giving to the last person. Criminalities, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. I'm not sure about these guys. I have used them, but not to great effect. They are interesting. They do have the ability to defeat, like, armor piercing, meaning they're going to do very well against most late game infantry. And they're only mid-tier infantry. They have good armor, 35 armor, and they're shielded. So that's always good. But then their morale is 58, which is quite unusual for a unit of this tier. So overall, if they are flank secured and encouraged by nearby units, it goes really high. Movement speed is very slow for 37. The average is around 35-40, yes, but this is on the slow side for a unit such as this, because you want them to be very mobile. Their melee attack is 48, though. They're going to hit almost every hit they attack. And melee defense, it's decent, 30. Not the best, but decent. Again, they're not meant to be in prolonged combat. They're meant to be hit and charge units, because they do also get a charge bonus. And they do armor piercing, as we discussed. They get the same ability to the last, and they can inspire others around them to the last, which is really good. It's really nice to see abilities being given back to units. And the ability to inspire others to keep fighting, it's what makes them possibly feasible, because it helps to make units which are ailing or about to break much stronger, especially the initiates and the Amazon swordswomen at the start. Then we get the advanced Amazon swordswomen, the Adramakoi, and these guys are decent ish. Again, they're quite expensive for what you get, but at the same time they're going to do their job really well. Their movement speed, again, is very slow for the Amazons, because when you look at the Greeks and the Trojans, they do get much slower units than this. But for the Amazonians, it's very slow, 37, and still a bit faster, more mobile. But then again, the entire concept of the Amazonians is hidden around faction. They do get shielded with 60% missile block chance this time, so it's really good on the front. They have decent morale, 62, and then they're decent unit to put on the flanks, but they can be easily flanked themselves, and their morale will shatter really fast. They have good armor piercing as well, with 12 armor piercing, and they attack relatively fast with 3.2 seconds every attack. Their melee defense and melee attack is okay. Melee defense, as you can see, is really good with 45, but melee attack should be higher for swords infantry. And I would like to see them to have a bonus versus spears or axes. Since they are swords, they're meant to be anti-infantry killers, whereas this one, especially when you're paying like 700, 800 gold for it, I would like it to have much more. They do get encourage, which are encouraging nearby allies, which essentially is what you're paying for this unit. So again, what makes them really good for a flanking unit is their encourage, but you'll be paying a little bit too much for them, for what you're getting there. Then there are the War Maidens here. The War Maidens are, I believe, the elite units. They're classed heavy. They have 70 armor, and they have 60% missile block chance. They have really high morale of base 60, but it goes up as well. They have little to no speed. A unit with 28 speed is not going to move that fast. The melee attack is again 29, not really that good, but their melee defense is all the way up at 54. So you can see their damage is really low with only 58 over 10 seconds, but they do get bonus versus large, which is a nice added bonus, and they do not have any charge bonus to speak of. The good thing comes that they're disciplined, so that when the general dies or gets routed, they do not suffer a morale penalty, and they get perfect vigor, which doesn't let them tire. They're going to keep fighting. Now, what I really enjoy with this is that perfect vigor is disabled. Where is it? Red mist. Okay. If you kill 100 or more enemies, red mist, which is the perfect vigor, gets disabled. I believe this is it, yeah. And if that gets disabled, they will start getting tired. So what I like about this unit, the War Maidens, they will kill over 100 units. They will hold the line. They will kill very slowly, keep in mind, because they're not damage dealers. They're not going to do that much damage. But they should survive long enough to kill 100 units as they're fighting, and then they start getting weaker because they start getting tired. And that's a really nice way to balance the fact that they're very tanky and very difficult to kill. So that's really nice, sneaky way to put it in. I quite like the unit itself, having one or two as your center or flanks. I would prefer these to be my center, supporting the Oathsworn and the Initiates, and making sure wherever the line is breaking, these would be my reserves and I charge them in. And then the elite unit, I believe this is 1,300 gold. These are the Astri Makoi, which are the upgraded Andramakwe unit over there. They are also very, very heavily armored, 85 armor, and with shield. They do get 70 base morale, and they get other abilities as well that boost their morale up. Speed is 28, which is very slow, and they're going to be just slugging along behind the entire army. Not going to be that fast, so once you throw these guys in, they're going to stay and fight. They do get 44 melee attack, which again I would expect higher for a sword infantry unit, but such is the way it came. They do get really good melee defense as well, 60 melee defense, which is something that to be thankful for, because you are paying 1,300 gold for these. These are equivalent of Oathsworn. I would expect them to get more damage, but 60 melee defense is very high for any unit in Total War. And then their damage is 160 with a charge bonus of 22. So they will do a decent charge, but you will not be able to pull them out very effectively because most other units are faster than them and they will be chased down. They do get Disciplined and Encourage, which is really good, and they get the ability to do the last. That also helps them. Their ability Relentless is what makes them Disciplined in Immune Psychology. They can hide also in brushes. That's the infantry, and now let's move on to the missiles. Missiles, we got... Oh wait. No. How did you guys end up there? Alright, I'm gonna send you here. And we'll deal with you. Wait, we'll deal with you the last. Go. Off you go. Off you go. Yeah, that's something... You know, guys, you have to wait in line, right? Legit, I did not script that. I don't know what the hell happened. But yeah, those are the followers of Artemis. Something we are going to look forward to in like a couple of seconds. Warrior women, stone slingers. Oh boy. 5 armor, 5 melee attack, 7 melee attack, 10 melee defense. Oh boy, if anything hits these with gust of wind, they'll die. They are good with regards to their range. They have 160 range, 22 ammunition, but they do not even get a decent missile damage. They do not get decent morale or anything. Their speed is 48, which is... You'd expect this to be at least a 55 speed, because they're just tattoo. That's all they have. They have tattoos and cloth, so they're not a very good unit overall. Their redeeming factor is the range and how cheap they are, so you can really get a number of these if you have extra funds in for your army and you have extra space for a missile unit. It's going to be a missile unit to get, but at the same time I would prefer to get one of the others, as there are going to be a number of others that can be taken. But with that said, we can get the Shielded Soul Slingers, which are the upgraded version, and these guys are slightly better. They do get 10 armor and they do get a shield with 40 missile block chance, which helps a little bit. Their morale is much higher with base 47. That 7 extra morale is going to really pay off, because I believe they just break it around 20 morale, so just adding that little extra. They lose a little bit of speed, moving down to 37, which is, again, average, slightly above average. And they'll be able to run away from most infantry, or just keep at pace with them. They're not going to be a very good unit to skirmish with, whereas the Stone Slingers would be able to skirmish, run back. They do get 20 melee attack and 20 melee defense, which again, as you can see, these are below average, but it is enough to keep them fighting a bit till reinforcements arrive to help them out. Their damage is 113, so they do get a sword, I believe, to fight with, and that will do a lot of damage. Let's see. Yeah, they do get a sword, small shank, and they can fight with it. For those who don't know, if you click the melee, they just bring out the sword. They do have 180 range, however, which is really good for what they do, and 38 missile damage, 22 ammunition. So there's, as a missile unit, this is going to be the base missile unit that you have. And apart from that, as you can see, the formation is much tighter, much closely packed, and they're going to be able to withstand charges to their infantry much much better. Yeah, Shielded Stone Slingers, my favorite missile unit up till now. I haven't played Hippolyta that much in campaign, so I'm not sure about her other missile units. And just the Amazonian Archers, which have a really unique ability, which I would like to showcase right off the bat, and then we'll talk once while they're firing. You get the ability to fire a volley at a specific location. Now, accuracy, as you can see, is very low. They're going to keep firing whatever direction they find, but it's going to be really good within blob fights, and it's going to discourage blobbing, because you can actually get your archers to fire in a specific location rather than a specific unit, and discouraging units going in. And as you can see, the more they fire, the more accuracy they gain towards the center of their army. What do they have that is really good? Oh, as you can see, their morale, their ammunition is going down. How much ammunition did they have? I think they had 25 ammunition because they're already firing, but that's absolutely okay. The range is 165, which isn't the highest, as you can see, but they will beat the basic stone slingers and most of the basic slingers. Okay, let's get you to stop. You showcased it enough. They have very bad morale, 40, so they're not going to really survive much of an impact, especially with their armor and their melee defense being very low. 16 melee defense is a bit higher than the basic slingers, but still not really anything good. And any unit, yeah, even the initiates would be able to rip these guys apart. Their melee attack is very low, and they had no charge bonus to speak of, so once they run out of ammunition, they're pretty useless in the battlefield. They do get 21 missile damage, and their missile damage, 7 of which is armor piercing. Their volley ability, which is here, is really good, and it cannot be used if it's on a wall or being deployed on a wall. So they cannot be use it if they're on top of a wall, I think. Something we have to test out later on and see how it works. I'm not sure if you can not use it on the wall or while you're on the wall. It's sometimes my English doesn't really go well. Cannot use if being deployed on a wall. Yeah, the comma's confusing me, but anyway. So yeah, those are the Amazonian archers. They're forest fighters, they're light infantry. Nothing's really special about them. Really nice to have a volley ability. Nice extra 5 range considering they're not slingers. And I also like the fact they're a tight, compact unit, but they're gonna suffer a lot if a cavalry unit just charges into them, or a chariot. Then there are the destroyers of men, the huntresses. These are my second favorite missile unit in the Amazonian army, mostly because they got armor piercing, 34 missile damage, of which 24 is armor piercing damage, which means they're going to shred through pretty much anything. They do get 13 volleys and 90 range, which doesn't really matter considering how fast they are. They have 52 speed, and that's going to really help them. What I also like is they have 36 melee defense, 27 melee attack, and a damage of 120, charge bonus of 11. So after they finish their ammunition, they can hold up their own in a fight. Not the best, as you can see, they're quite on the low side, but they will deal with, they're capable of dealing with initiates and low tier units and holding their own, especially if you mix them in with other infantry. They're going to be doing relatively well. A unit I suggest having on field battles rather than stone slingers is this one, because they are going to do really well overall. But then there are Hippolyta's Chosen, which are slightly reduced numbers. You can see they're only 60 down from 80 and 90. And that's because the elite units usually get less units. As you can see down here as well, the more elite you go, the less units you get in your unit number in your unit. Sorry, I don't know what to call them. Soldiers in your unit. It's confusing. My brain farting. Alright, Hippolyta's Chosen. 10 armor. Not the best, but then again, they're archers, so I think it's okay. Their speed is 48, and they get a base value of morale of 45. Not what you'd like to see on a hit and run unit, but they can still run, they can still hit really hard, and that's what they really do, is they hit really hard. 170 range, 33 missile damage, and they have 24 ammunition, so they're gonna, dish out the damage. They also got the volley ability, and they got fierce resolve that they can inspire in others to do better. And that's going to be a really good thing to have. Their melee attack and melee defense, again, is very basic. They'll be able to deal with initiates and Amazonian swordsmen to a certain extent, but not for long. They also get a bonus to their charge, which is nice. So what are their abilities? They have hide, they have immune psychology, fierce resolve on themselves, and they can inspire in others. And their volley ability is something I'm really interested in, to see how effective it is and how much it will work. Very happy to see this unit. And now, followers of Vertamis, the ones who couldn't wait and wanted to butt in at the start. What are these guys? These are light bow infantry with 35 armor, so it's really good. And they do get 65 base morale. So again, we're miles ahead of every other missile unit that we have seen. 48 speed, again, for this armor and this morale, love it. 22 melee attack, 32 melee defense, love it. It's really good. But keep in mind, this is like a 1300 gold unit, so you expect these kind of stats. and I'm glad it is. They don't have a charge bonus, but you don't expect archers to have a charge bonus. They do have a range of 170 and a missile damage of 45, of which 15 is armor piercing, and they fire more or less every 10 seconds, but it will be faster in game. It's decent damage. They do dish out quite a bit of damage. They can shoot while moving, of course only in the front of themselves. They are not shooting all over the sides. They inspire fierce resolve, and they have the volley ability as well. So overall, this is a really good archer unit. You would expect with the Amazonians, really strong, and they do get a sword, I believe. They get a small shanky shank over there. Yeah, that's actually a really good design for the sword. But they're gonna really fight, and they're gonna hold on their own. Really good units. I really highly recommend having 2 of them in your army, 1 or 2 of them at least. I'm not sure if you can get 2 or 1. So some of the elite units you're limited to 1 because they're so good. One last comment is most of the archers in this this faction are very compact in space that they use. As you can see, they move really compactly, so when they're going to get charged, they're going to take less of brunt damage than the Greeks, for example, who are all over the place. Now to horsewomen. Now, I received a comment on Reddit, and this is why I'm actually recording this video. And dude, thank you very much for telling me that, because I noticed a lot of my mistakes. And yeah, I decided to re-record, even though I had noticed some of them. You pointed out a lot of stuff, and one of them is the horsewoman. Why do I like horsewomen so much? Their speed. Why is 88 speed really good? As you can see, most of the speed that we've seen till now is very low, and it's going to mean that these guys with almost twice the amount of speed of the average that we've seen within the Amazons, and that is already higher than average by like factor of 5 or 10 over the Greeks and the really slow Trojans. So 88 movement speed, which is as fast as some of the fastest chariots in the other factions, is going to be good. They're going to be able to run down pretty much anything. They do get spears. They do get a little bit extra damage, I believe, against a hidden modifier against other horses because of their spears. 46 charge bonus with 88 speed. They're going to do a lot. Their main issue, however, is they do have very low melee defense, 32, and very low armor of 30, with a shielded value of 40. So they're going to be able to resist some missiles, but if they're bogged down, they're going to die really fast. So you need to keep these guys moving. They do get to hide in the forest, and they have the ability to skittish horses, so if they're really hurt, they're going to actually lose most of their speed, and they're going to go down to around 60 speed, which reduces their functionality. You also get Life of Bronze, which is disabled if they have killed 200 or more enemies, meaning their weapon damage loses 15% effectiveness, and they become slightly ever so weaker. So that's really nice to see. Overall, it's a good functionality unit. It's quite cheap. It does its job. The main problem is it does not have survivability. The next unit is the Amazon Chariots. These are a really strong chariot unit. They will do a lot of damage. They were considered shielded at one point, apparently, according to the patch notes, but they're no longer so. They're heavy chariots, and they do what heavy chariots are meant to do. They have speed of 74, and morale of 70, and armor of 70. So overall, this is a really good base stats. For their expanse, you do get 38 melee attack and 28 melee defense. They, of course, were going to get hit because they're a big-ass chariot, but the main thing that they do have is 60 charge bonus. So they're just going to be able to break through any line with ease and shatter anything that tries to stand in their way, because they do have 60 charge bonus. And that's all I have to say. Charge bonus that high, they're going to do really well. I really like the lances at the back, and yeah, good luck to you if you're standing in front of these girls. The next unit is the Infantry. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. These are the upgraded horsewomen. They're okay for the upgrade. You do get more movement speed, but let's go through the armor. 35 armor, and they get 35 missile block chance, so you're trading the 5 armor increase for less missile block chance. They do get 65 morale, and if you see of this, it's 60, so you get a little bit more morale. The main thing is the upgrade in speed, which you have 4 more speed than the basic horses, and you do not have the skittish ability, so these guys are going to be much more effective. They do get 50 melee attack and 35 melee defense, so they're going to be much much better in terms of that, and their charge bonus is of 54, so they're just going to be an unstoppable force of destruction. You also got the bonus versus large, so if you are between this and horsewomen, I would get 2 of these or the entry horsewomen, because these guys are going to do a lot more damage and a lot more cost effective than that. They are, however, the elite unit of the cavalry for Hippolyta, and you do get only 60 of them, so it's going to be, again, this is on large, large, I think this is large or ultra, I'm not sure. Ultra unit size, I'm not sure. I'm gonna check at the end of the video and I'll let you know, but yeah, really good unit overall. Something I would like to see is how much kills like you could get with them. One last thing, they do get to the last ability, and they get really good flanking speed. They're medium cavalry. The next are the war riders, which are bow cavalry. They are light bow cavalry. They have very poor attack, and I can't see why. They have 75 damage, but let's get straight to it. 15 armor, 60 morale, and 103 speed. 103 speed. These guys are essentially some of the fastest units in the game. They are really good at hit and run, and you'd expect them to be. They're bow cavalry, right? They're really strong in what they do. They do get a base at melee attack and melee defense, which you would expect from something this expensive. 38 ammunition, but again, 38 by 60 is not that good per se, so they would probably run out. And their disadvantages, they only have 100 range. Their missile damage is of 35, and they do get armor piercing, so that's going to be really good. They are unbreakable. They have the ability to make a unit unbreakable, which is really cool. Inspire unbreakable. And they do have horseback sharpshooting, and they can fire from horseback, meaning that these guys have a range all around them that they can shoot. So this is going to be the, you know, an army of these is going to be a really tough army to break down, because they're going to have so much ammunition. They're going to just slaughter you and then just do a few charges on your very weak units. You'll never catch them because they have 103 in speed. You need to tire them out and corner them to be able to kill them. Their main disadvantage is their lack of armor and lack of range. Otherwise, they're decent units, and something I can see armies being made memes out of. Their upgrade is the Hippolyta, which are slightly more armor, 30 armor. They have lower morale and lower speed for obvious reasons, because they have more armor. They're medium cavalry, medium bow cavalry. They do get a little bit more melee attack, and melee defense is, I believe, the same. Yeah, melee defense is the same, but they get 5 more melee attack. Their damage is slightly higher as well, slightly twice as high. They do get a bit of charge bonus, and they have very little ammunition comparatively. They have 10 ammunition less, as you can see from here. They get 28, and they have 160 range to compensate for that. These guys are going to be ridiculously strong. 160 range on cavalry, that's nuts. That is as much range as some of the bows have. Yeah, as the Amazons archers have. So these guys beat the war riders based on their range. They're going to be firing from a long range and doing a lot of damage, because they have also 45 missile damage, whereas these guys have 35. They do not have armor piercing, but I believe they do get 14 armor piercing. Yeah, so they're going to be a really good unit as well with regards to their range and damage. If you want a really mobile unit, you're going to go for war riders, and you're going to get more of them. If you want a solid long distance unit, still fast, I mean 92 is still ridiculously fast, you're going to go with the Hippolyta, and they're going to do a lot of damage from that angle. And then you get the ultimate bow cavalry that they have, which are the Toxoanesis. It's a light cavalry, 20 armor. You do get a 55 base morale, 92 speed, melee attack is 30, melee defense is less, and their damage is the same. They do get 30 charge bonus compared to the 20 of these guys, and the how much is the charge bonus of the war riders? 28. All right. Yeah, the charge bonus of the war riders is better, but these guys got a 30 charge bonus, 140 range, and missile damage 43. But to boot, they also get a lot of abilities. They get disciplined, they do get encourage, mean to psychology, fire while moving, horseback sharpshooting, relentless, and unbreakable. They can inspire unbreakable. So they're going to be really good overall unit. The best unit they do have is the Hippolyta in terms of regards to archers, and this might need to be nerfed. This is a little bit too high for a bow cavalry, as that's going to cause lots of issues. Most range is not that high, so 160 bow cavalry, ooh, it's gonna destroy everything. All right, let's get to this. Center scouts, they're okay. We've seen these already in the other factions. They're not the best unit. They have 10 armor, decent morale, 48, 92 melee, so 92 speed. Their melee attack and melee defense is very low with 26 and 20. Their damage, nothing to speak of. 24 charge bonus, but they have 20 ammunition, range 110, and they throw javelins, which have a lot of armor piercing. And they're going to do a lot of damage. They get vanguard deployment, fire west moving, and horseback sharpshooting. So this is going to be a unit you get 2 of. You put them behind the enemy lines, and you take out their enemy archers really fast. Then there are the sirens over here. The sirens are slingers. They are 40 units of slingers. They're not really that good as a fighter. The only reason why you'd want to get these, well, 2 reasons mainly. 180 range, 45 missile damage, and they get the siren store ability, which makes units to target the taunter and just run to the sirens. They don't have any armor to speak of, 15, and this is a mythical unit. These guys cost a lot. They have really good morale for what they are, and they get 89 speed, which is twice as fast, I believe. Yeah, pretty much twice as fast as the stone slingers. If you see this, yeah, really fast units. Wait, what? Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. Oh, I was absolutely looking at the wrong one. Yeah, I accidentally clicked on the next one. 48 movement speed. Apologies. I was like saying, that is insane for an infantry running that fast. But again, they're pretty much naked. Yeah, they're just not wearing any armor whatsoever. Their melee defense, yeah, it's low. Their damage is 125, is surprisingly high. They have 27 ammunition, and this is what sells them along with the Siren's Lore. Never really recommend getting them unless you're trying to make a meme army, because they're not going to be that great. The next unit is the Center Elders, and this is the last one. These Center Elders are bow cavalry, they are medium cavalry, they have pretty much, they're good in everything. 50 armor, they have 70 morale, they have 89 speed. They're 50 armor, 89 speed, and they get 28 melee defense, 35 melee attack. Their overall damage is not that high, 125, but you know, they're gonna do damage. Their main damage comes from their ammunition being 30 ammunition, 145 range, and 45 missile damage. They do get the ability to cause fear, vanguard deployment, forest movement, and horseback sharpshooting. They're a really good unit overall. It does cost 1,400 gold to get, and you can only get 1 per army. But it's something that you might want to consider to throw in the army. Their charge bonus is 20, not the greatest, but if you charge them in units that are about to rout, with their fear ability, they are going to break the armies. So that's it. That's the army Hippolyta. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know if you didn't like it. Please, like the guy on Reddit, he gave me feedback, and I'm trying to improve my videos. I'm trying to make it better and give you guys a better viewing experience, and at the same time trying to make my channel be of better quality. Anyway guys, with that said, I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.